So it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPad 9th generation and see how it holds up against the iPad 8th generation in 2023 and see which specific iPad is the better one for you. Now, funny enough, the iPad 9 is probably one of the more popular iPads as of right now from the numbers that I can see, from the views and everything that the iPad 9 is still getting. It looks like that specific device is the one that's probably going to be the most popular iPad even this year in terms of sales numbers, just because it's the cheapest. But the iPad 8 is still available in the used market, and you can buy this thing wherever for a little bit cheaper than what you can buy the iPad 9 for. So if you want to pick it up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, on the front, the iPad 8, which came out in 2020, has that 10.2-inch Retina IPS LCD panel on the front, and it's a pretty good panel. It's almost the exact same thing as the iPad 9. It was nice. I liked this panel at the time, and I still think it looks pretty good. You know, there's not a lot to complain about here. You're getting the pretty big bezels on the top and bottom. You're getting the Touch ID sensor in the front. So you're getting basically what you'd expect on the iPad 9 as well. But they're both pretty good. And like I said, there's really not a lot to complain about within these two devices. With the iPad 9, again, it's almost identically the exact same display. So it's a 10.2-inch Retina IPS LCD panel, fairly high resolution like I mentioned before, and it definitely gets the job done. I think it's a very good panel on both of these, but the iPad 9 I think just looks slightly better because of some features that display has, like True Tone and whatnot. But I think the iPad 8 still looks very good too. They both have Lightning ports at the bottom, Apple Pencil 1 support as well, and on the back they have standard silver backs, which is really nice. And having that type of capability, once again, is very, very cool. Now, that kind of covers it up on the outside. There's not like a lot of differences between them. There's a lot more similarities for sure. Within the camera side, there is very few differences, at least on the back cameras. They're both 8 megapixel sensors. You can do 1080p at 30 frames per second. Very good sensors for sure. Like I said, not a lot to complain about here. But with the iPad 8, you are getting that 1.2 megapixel standard camera on the front camera on that device. With the iPad 9, you're getting that 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera. So that is actually kind of a pretty big difference. With that 12 megapixel camera on the front of the iPad 9, that is a way better camera. It's 1080p at 60 frames per second versus the 720p at 30. And even though 1080p at 60 is not even that great, it's still a much better camera full feature that you have on something like the iPad 9 over the iPad 8. So that in and of itself is another reason why I like the iPad 9 for sure, and probably one of my most favorite things going on with that device if I'm being honest. Now, in terms of the software longevity, the iPad 9 is definitely going to be the one, in my opinion, that's going to be lasting longer than the iPad 8. And this is just what happens every single year. Whenever we get the newer devices, with the newer chipset, it's definitely going to be giving us better performance and also better, capability within the software. So you are definitely going to be probably getting the longer lasting device from something like the iPad 9 than the iPad 8. It's still going to be kind of close though, but definitely the iPad 9 is probably going to outlast the iPad 8 when it kind of comes down to it. Now, in terms of the performance side of things, the iPad 8 has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPad 9 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. And definitely from the looks of it, it may seem like there's a lot of overlap between these two devices, and there really are, but you are for sure getting the overall better performing iPad, in my opinion, from the iPad 9 than the iPad 8. And this is just what happens every single year. With the iPad 8, this thing, because of its chipset, it had the same chipset as like an iPhone XR or iPhone XS, and that's a pretty decent chipset. But the iPhone 11, which is what the iPad 9's chipset is, that one's probably going to be giving you better performance overall, but it's still very close. But definitely if you're playing games, if you're doing whatever, it's probably going to be a better experience on the iPad 9 than the iPad 8 as far as we can tell. It's kind of what happens. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you is between both of these iPads, still you are getting the better performing iPad overall on the iPad 9 than the iPad 8. But if you can, buy an iPad 8 and save a little bit of money, go for it. I'm sure you can, go down that direction, but you'll probably be better off if you just go buy something like an iPad 9 and just kind of move on with your life. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would be so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.